Okay, today I'm going to cover setting up a server to use public and private keys. So possibly passwordless for Ubuntu mainly, but any really type of Linux should work, including Proxmox. Right, so before we do that, we need to talk about codes and encryption and public and private keys and how they work and things like that. Hold on, don't go away yet. I've got to explain this, otherwise you won't understand. So, for those people that don't want to listen and don't want to understand, okay, there's a cat video. If you could watch back, I'll give you a shout when I've done through the talking bit. So, everybody else still here? Right, so, codes and encryption, public and private keys. So, a long time ago, no, that's not right. I actually mean a long time ago, before the 1970s, we only had symmetric keys. The hell's an asymmetric key? Well, a symmetric key is the key used the same on both sides of encryption. So it's the same key on both sides. So we share a secret code. Let's say that secret code is 5. When I encrypt my message, I add 5 letters. So anything with an A becomes an F. A, B, C, D, E, F. A B becomes a G and a C becomes an H. So the word cat, you notice they all peeked up when I said the word cat. We're not finished yet, just stay watching the cats. Becomes HFY. So that's kind of simple, that. So then it gets a little bit more complicated. So you have a secret code that's 5, 3 and 0. So what we do here, the first letter of our plain text that we want to turn into ciphertext, those are the real words, plain text, ciphertext, we move on 5 letters. The second letter, we add 3 letters. And the third letter, we leave the same because we're going to add 0 letters. So cat becomes HDT. Now we've only got 3 character codes there. You can have lots. You can have a lot bigger text to make it quite complicated. But symmetric encryption, there's a problem. You have to know the key and I have to know the key. So you either have to take it with you, so we have to meet, or we have to kind of do it some other way because we've got to both know the key. If that key gets out, the message is not going to be secure. So in the 1970s, asymmetric encryption came in. It's a lot more complicated. You've got 2 secret codes. You've got a public one that everybody can see and a private one that one person holds on to. It works in a very similar way. We encrypt things with these codes, but it's vastly different on how it does it. So let's say you want to send me a message. You find my public key. You use it to change your plain text into ciphertext. So you're encrypting that plain text into ciphertext. You send me the ciphertext. When I get the message, I get out my private key and I decode the message, and it kind of makes sense. If Mr. Hacker picks up the message, he can't do anything with it. He's only got access to the public key. So it's going to remain gibberish to him. I can hear a whirring. Now something's whirring here. Go on, ask the question. You know what you want to.
So, how do you send secure messages to me? Do I have a private and public key?
Well, in some cases, yes. I will. You would have a public and private key as well as me. But in most, no. We don't want everybody to go through the process of confirming who they are and buying a key pair and kind of getting it all sorted. Also, because of all the processing involved, remember it didn't come out till 1970 when we had computers to do stuff? It's very processor intensive. So you don't really want to use asymmetric encryption for everything. I can hear that whirring noise again. Somebody's thinking. Yeah, okay, go on, ask the question.
How do you send secure messages to me?
I can't send secure messages for you because I've only got a private key. But we can share things here. Because you can send secure messages to me, you could send me a special code. And I could use that special code to encrypt things symmetrically. Kind of going backwards and forwards. Is that clever? Okay, let's roll the credits and then create some keys. Oh, one sec. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah, they've become catatonic by looking cat videos, so too much. So, let's go on. Okay, so let's create this public-private key pair. We're going to need some things before we start, and I've kind of done a list, and I'd kind of recommend that you do the same thing because it gets everything all in one place. I've done it in Word, but you can do it in Notepad or whatever. So we're going to need the IP address of the server. So that's the Ubuntu server that we set up in a previous video. Link up there. You're going to need a login name, of course, to log in, and you'll need to know its password. We're then going to need to think of a new password, possibly. We then need to create a new username. The reason being is you should always have two usernames for things. One you don't use, because if you screw it up, you can go back to it. So we need a new username, a new password, and possibly, if you want to do this, I was going to create an account we could use for backups. So how you can pull things off the Proxmox server, or you can pull things off the server that's required. So a backup password, backup username and a backup password. So that's what we're going to need. Let's kind of go through how to get some of that. So starting with the IP address of the server, you need to log on. Right, we're just going to make this full screen so you can see. So logging on, it's you got to click in the right place. So that's my username, and my password is saved in that file I just showed you. Now sometimes this doesn't work, so I'm actually going to type it. Okay, we've logged on and we're there, and we want to know its IP address. There we go, we can see it's here, it's 204. So I'll find the Word document and I'll add to it 204. So we've now got that set up and we know what's there, so we don't actually need Proxmox anymore. So I'm going to exit out of this. Well, in fact, no, I'll leave it there. What we need to do is we need to start a command window. So I'll go here and I'll type cmd, and I've got a command window. Now it should take you to your user's home directory, which is just here. Okay, let me just switch so I don't frighten children. I'll make myself smaller in the bottom. There we go. So I've got my command window. So we want to do now the command to create the keys. So I've got that set up. You'll be able to download all the commands, what I'm going to use today, by subscribing to the mailing list, and you'll get a mail that's kind of got all the details in. But this is the one to create the keys. So ssh-keygen -c, and then you put your email address in that you kind of want to be used against this. It's not really used against it, it's just kind of identification. And then hit the enter key, and it says, do you want me to save this in in this file? Well, yeah, we might as well, because it seems as good as anywhere. So we'll just press enter. That's the default. Now it wants a passphrase. Now this is another password that you can use when you're using this key. I've done a video on two-factor authentication, link up there. If you watch that, you'll see that two-factor authentication is a good idea. So we'll have the key, but we'll also have a passphrase. So I'm going to use Mary had a little lamb as my passphrase, and press enter. Mary had a little lamb. Oh, it's too long. Let's go for just Mary. Okay, now it's created two keys here. So there is a public key, id_ed25519.pub, and there is a private key, id_ed255199. Now that is what the key is, and it's going to that, and this is the special graphic it's created. Now don't worry that I'm showing you things. I'm going to replace these as soon as I'm kind of done. So we've got a key created now. Right, what we need to do now is we need to connect to the server. So we're going to use a command called ssh, and it's a secure shell. So what we're going to do is we're going to ssh to 192.168.1.204, which is the server IP address we found. Copied that off the sheet. And we're going to use the user ID www.wwop. Okay, and it comes back and says you've not connected to this before. Are you sure? I don't know about it, so we're going to say yes. Okay, it now wants to know what my password is, so I will go and find that from my other document, which is being a right pain. I'm going to copy it with Control C. I'm going to click back on here, and then I'm going to right click, because in SSH that means paste, and press enter. So we've seen that before, haven't we? That's the kind of banner page that we get when we log on. So we're logged on as www.op. So we're connected up now. We've still got to do lots of things. Right. So the first thing we need to do is create those other users. So the command is add user, and then the name of the user you want to create. Because we're using Ubuntu, you use a special command, sudo, which gives the account root privileges, or the administrator privileges to do things. And it means that we're going to add a user as this account, but kind of erase its privileges. Sudo is kind of really early from Ubuntu. Others you'd have to log on as root or give yourself root privileges. I kind of prefer Ubuntu because of this. So that's the command. It comes back and it wants to know what the password is, just to confirm. So just to make sure that WWOP has got right, and I'm the right person here. So what you can do is you can copy the passwords, click on the screen, and then right click, and right click in SSH here is paste. Okay, so it's created me a user ID, it's created it's added a new group, it's created the user, it's created a home directory, it's kind of done everything that you could want. It wants to know what the new password is going to be. Now I've got the new password in that document, haven't I? Somewhere here. So again, I'm going to copy it, because it just means I can't screw it up by having fat fingers and typing things wrong. So that's the new password once, that's the new password twice. It then wants to know what this is. So I'm going to say wrong words, SSH, can't say that word today, user. What room am I in? Well, don't care. Do I want to put my phone number in? No, don't care. No, don't care. Is the information correct? Yes. Okay, so we've created a user, wwop-sh. So that's just a user. What we now need to do is add that user to groups that can run sudo. Okay, so we're still logged on as the original user, so we can run sudo. We're going to say user mod add to group sudo www-ssh. So the user we just created, it's just done it. It's created it in there. So what we can do now is we can create the second user. Remember, I was going to create a second user. Okay, so again, let's clear the screen a little bit. I'll show you, in fact, to clear the screen completely. CLS, clear. CLS is DOS. Clear. I right click, there's my command again, sudo add user, the user I want to create. Okay, and it wants a new password, so I'll find that. There we go. Right clicked once, right click twice, press enter. What's my name? And I'm going to just call this backup. Okay, is the information correct? So it's there. We then need to add the user to the sudo group. Same command, user mod, add to group, sudo, and that backup account. Okay, so we've kind of got the accounts all set up now. We could switch account to one of them. So there's a command for that. So if I type in or copy and paste SU for switch user, and then the account I want to go through, the backup one I just created, it then asks for the password. So again, I'm just copying the password. I'm not typing any of it in. Click on there, right click and press enter. Okay, we're now, as you can see, in the backup user. Right, while we're logged on as this user, something we're going to need is we're going to need a .ssh folder. And that's kind of where it stores all its SSH stuff. So we could go to a different server and it would create one, or we could do what I've seen in documentation where we make a directory SSH and then we have to change the permissions on it, kind of do all that stuff. Or we can just run ssh-keygen. Okay, so it wants to create a file in a .ssh folder. So sounds good to me. I don't really want a passphrase, or it doesn't matter. So it's created a public and private key. So if we do ls-al, we've got that folder corrected. So I'm just gonna switch user to my other account, because that was backup, which is going to be www.onpurpose.ssh. Okay, it wants to know the password for that account, which I'm going to copy. There we go. And then we want to run the gen command. I could just type it, ssh-keygen. It wants to create it in here, so yes. Empty passphrase. We're not going to use any of these keys. I'm just using this as a way of creating that folder and making it right. Why aren't I going? Oh, because I'm still on the backup folder. Because I. Interesting. It didn't move me to my home folder, but that's fine. I can exit out of there. I can exit out of there. I can exit out of there, and hopefully I've fallen back to the DOS command prompt. Okay, so we've got, what have we done? We've created 2 users on our Zigbee2mqtt server. Wrong words on purpose backup and wrong words on purpose SSH. We've created a public and private key for our kind of local machine here. We've, on the servers in their home directories for both of those users, we've created a .ssh folder that we can put things in. So let's put something in it. And I've got the command. Right, we're in SSH, so we'll just make sure I've got the name right. So the private key is ID dash, you can see it, and the public key has got .pub on the end. So we want to run this command. Okay, so where I've got DI from. So we're going to secure copy this file, logging on as wrong words on purpose SSH on my server, and we're going to put it in the home directory for this user .ssh, the folder we just created, and we're going to call it temp_pub. It wants to know the password. Copy. Go. It's copied it. So we can do exactly the same command. Back up. Go and get the password. Paste it back in again. So we copied a key into those folders .shs. I need to say this 10 times. We copied the public key into a file called temp_key.pub into the .ssh folder for both of those users. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to connect and sort out this key so it's right. So because I'm lazy, we'll go. You can just use arrow keys. Okay, so we want to connect as the backup user using SSH, and it wants to know the password again, and I've still got it in my paste buffer. Okay, so we have logged on now, you can see that, and we've got 3 commands to run, which are just here. It wants to know the password for backup again, and I haven't got that in the paste buffer anymore. Okay, so it's copied. Let's just quickly run through that. So it's pushed into the authorized keys temp_key.pub. So the value that's in temp_key.pub, the public key, is now in authorized keys. It's then removed, RM is removed, the temp key. It's then changed the permissions on the folder and the authorized keys folder, and then it asked me for the setup. So if we exit out of there and we sh, oh, too far. We want to go ssh. Okay, I need that password again. Okay, we're in again, and I'll run those commands. Like I said, sign up for the mailing list, link in the description, and you'll get all these commands so you can just copy them. So, ready to test. I've got that command I want to run. If you press up and down, it remembers the keys that are there, so keys you've pressed. So I want to SSH to that server using my SSH ID. So if I press enter, it's not saying enter password, it's saying enter passphrase. Remember, that was Mary. Or I couldn't type Mary had a little lamb lots of times, and we're logged on. So we've taken away the password, because by default it tries to use secure keys, and it then falls back to passwords if there aren't secure keys in place. So we've logged on. We've got two-factor authentication, again linked to the multi-factor video if you've not seen it. So we've kind of done that, and we can do exit, and it works for both users. So I created a user called backup. Again, it's still got the, and we're logged on as backup now. Nothing in that folder. So we've enabled two-factor authentication. We've made things a lot more secure here. You could, if you wanted to, make things even more secure and deny password authentication, which is a possibility. We'll go through that in a sec, but the reason you might want to do it is if you deny password authentication, it means nobody out on the internet can get to your system because they're going to need your file. So unless you're careless with your private key, we can still make it that you could log on the Proxmox server, because Proxmox server is kind of doing it locally. So we're going to do that now. Okay, to disable password authentication over SSH, we have to edit a file. The editor I use is Nano, mainly because I find it the easiest. There'll be some Linux and Unix diehard that will tell you that Vi is the best thing since sliced bread, but you have to remember lots of keys for that. Nano just works. So that's the command. We're going to nano etc ssh sshd underscore config. So if we look at that, if we scroll down in this file, it's mainly completely removed. But there's a few things here. Well, two things mainly we have to change. One is this line here. This line here adds in a config that's set up for if you're going to be using Azure and things like that. It's only got password authentication set to yes in it. We're about to disable that, so we're going to remove that one. And I'll put a little quote, removed, wrong word on purpose, April 25. So we're looking for password authentication. You want to say no to that. I will say wrong words on purpose, April 25 was when yes. Okay, Exit is Control and X. Do I want to write the file? Yes, I do. Okay, so we're kind of done now. The thing we need to do now is restart lots of services, which if you got lots of people on the server, you do, but we haven't got lots of people on the server, so I'm just going to reboot it because that'll be quicker. Yeah. Quick speed up. Okay, the server started up again, so we SSH back in again. Wants to know the passphrase for log on. There's one more thing I wanted to show you. So there is something else that will happen on occasion. We logged on using our public and private key setting. It will at times, when you do things, still want to know the password for SSH because it's only used for log on. The IP hasn't got any things. So you still need to know your password to actually run commands. We could remove that, but it's not such a good idea because you'll be lowering security. Right, so we have created a public and private key, copied it to our server, put it in the right place, disabled password login for other users. And I can prove that. Let's just kind of prove that as a different way. So if I say I want to log on as Billy, permission is denied. It didn't even go and check anything. It knows that I need to have a public and private key to do this. It's just denied it, just got rid of it. So created the keys, copied them to the right place. We created an extra user called backup, which you could use for backup. You've got your original user. So we're all set up. So that's the end of this video. I'll do another one that's actually going to do backups because it's useful to know. So if you could like and subscribe, that would be great. And I'll see you on the next one. Unless you want to look at some of these. SSH, 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 and SSH. Yay! No mistakes.